Beverly, thank you so much for being here today. I'm excited to have this conversation. How are you doing?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Fantastic, fantastic. So our topic today is going to be that of the difference between corporate handcuffs
Mhm.
versus uncertain freedom. Corporate handcuffs versus uncertain freedom. And I'm
Mhm.
gonna paint just kind of paint the picture for people that are probably wondering what the heck is that. So corporate handcuffs. This is essentially someone who is in corporate America. Maybe they enjoy what they do, maybe they don't, doesn't matter, but they feel trapped. Okay.
Mhm.
They don't
Mhm.
they don't always feel as though they're in control of their time. And in some cases, they're not fully in control of their money, let alone their retirement.
Mhm.
Uncertain freedom are for those individuals who have taken the leap into entrepreneurship. They have that quote unquote time freedom that they want, or they're aspiring to it, right? They feel closer to it, but yet it's uncertain.
Mhm.
They have whims of great home runs or paydays, and they have
Mhm.
lows of a desert, right? Or a ghost
Mhm.
town. So we're talking about that today. And I believe that for some people in the audience, they may be feeling, should I or should I not? Is it worth the risk? Is it not worth the risk? And this may be something that, plays into um, economic status. It may also
Mhm.
play into ethnicity. Who
Mhm.
knows? So with
Mhm.
that being said, if you were talking to, let's say, a group of high schoolers, and they want to know, should they go the corporate route or should they go the entrepreneurial route? What would you tell them?
Wow. Mm. I really like this conversation, and I want to say that with anything that you do, there is no utopia. So this is a really good question and really something that you should think about. And in fact, this question came up in a workshop that I was holding where I was asking people to identify what their values are.
Mhm.
Because when you know your values, you kind of know what you will stand for and what you won't. You know your non negotiables, right?
Yeah.
And to look at that. So one person had noted that he needed autonomy. He wanted to be liberated and he wanted freedom, yet he
Mhm.
also wanted structure. And so, right, we talked about how does that work? Right? And it works because when you're in a corporate environment, let's say 9 to 5, but we know it's more hours than that,
Yeah.
in contrast to working as an entrepreneur, you're painted this picture of unlimited freedom. I can choose my own schedule. I get to wake up when I want to. I can walk my dog. I can do what I want to do. But guess what's missing? Or maybe missing? Structure.
Structure.
Yes. Who's on you? Who's emailing you for those deliverables? Right? Where are those clients coming from? When are you making time to do to take care of those billable hours, those client facing things, those things that you may not want to do that corporate is right managing, has a manager to
Yeah.
get you to do.
Poof.
And so I would say to any high schooler, any adult, any person that you have to know that there's going to be some give and take. That on the corporate side, there is, or there could be, let's say, more stability. Um, and with that stability, you're going to be sacrificing some of your liberty, right? You're going to be sacrificing some creativity. There may
Mhm.
not be as much innovation as you want. On the entrepreneur side, okay, you might have all the creativity that you want, but guess what? if you're not out there making in or making contact with the person who wants to buy your product or your
Right.
service, there's going to be less time for that because you're not making any money. You're not bringing in the income. So there has to be a merging of the two. So know your values, know what's important to you, know what you lack, know where your strong points and where your challenges lie, so that wherever your challenges lie, you can kind of put in some stop gates to have someone, some mechanism, some processes, some systems to bring that in to help you with those things. Does that make sense?
100%. So what would you say or maybe the top three issues that someone has when they're thinking about quote unquote taking off those corporate cuffs?
I would say is we have an idea, and you have this idea that you think is going to work, but you haven't tested it yet. You don't know if the market is ready for it. And the market, I would say, could be ready for almost anything, but can you sell it
Can
to
you
the
sell
market? Can you sell it to the market? Are you a salesperson? Do you like sales?
it?
Can you show up to sell?
Most
And
people
that's
don't.
and most people don't. And you find that out later in life that, oh my gosh, you know what I'm saying? Do you like social media? Do you like these mechanisms that we have now for you to show up in front of people? Because you could be the best creator in the world, and I don't care what it is that you're creating, you have to be the one to take that to market. You know what I'm saying? What is your
Yeah,
brand? You know, who are you? Who is this product that you're taking? Uh
100%.
yeah, to market. The second thing, how are you going to sustain yourself?
Mm,
So, with each administration, we've seen this. Things change on the ground, and you have no control of that. You don't know what's going to happen. You don't know how things are going to change. Um, Look, week to week, month to month, year to year, administration to administration. How are you going to navigate potential pitfalls? You know what I'm saying? What can you put in place to sustain yourself maybe 3 months, 6 months, 9 months down the road?
mm.
How are you preparing for that? And are you flexible? Can you change? Or are you stuck on this one thing? Can you pivot? If something doesn't work, can you change from that? Because if you are someone who is stuck on one thing, entrepreneurship may not be the avenue for you, you know? Because things change on the ground all the time, and you have to be willing to go back to the drawing board, take a look at things, and be willing to at least pivot a little bit to make the necessary changes so that you can be successful. So
Wow, that's great.
I would look at some of those things within yourself. And it's about knowing who you are and what's going to work and what may not work.
I love that. So
Mhm.
you mentioned pivots, which is super important. One of the things that I've noticed is after the change of guard, right, with the new administration for the U.S., right, for those of you all who may not be in the U.S.,
Yeah.
there has been I've noticed night and day. So many nonprofit organizations were, dare I say, thriving because of
Hmm.
access to grants and other money that was available. And it almost seemed overnight that the faucet was turned off. And what people are seeing now is that a lot of these nonprofits, whom I would say they have good missions, right?
Hmm. Yeah.
But they're not able to pivot on the ground as quickly as they should. And
Right.
so you still have people that have these corporate cuffs to those organizations, And yet some of those individuals are finding themselves going down with the ship as well. What would you suggest to someone who may be working for an organization, but they're expecting to see some kind of change in the future, whether it's AI replacing their job, whether it is interest rates cutting away at their earning potential, whether it's someone who thought they could have retired by now, and then they find out that cost of living has skyrocketed so high that it's going to be nearly impossible based on their salary.
Yeah.
What would you say to those individuals?
You know, I would say that I want to say first of all that I think the this notion of AI replacing people's jobs, I'm not going to say that it's not true. I do think that machines have replaced people's jobs. And in some instances, I'm going to go out and I'm going to be contrarian and say, I think that may be a good thing. And especially when it
Okay.
comes to repetitive things, things that can hurt our backs and, cause injuries to the human bodies, those can be a good things. And I can acknowledge that that can take away from the earned income of human beings. So there's two sides to every story. I would say that AI is a tool that we can use to enhance our jobs, but nothing is going to replace the human connection. You know what
Mm,
I'm saying? I just don't believe that. AI is just modeling stuff that we put into it. So
right.
use it as a tool um, in that fraction. I would say you're so right about, and I think that with non-profits, and let me be transparent here, I don't know enough about the nonprofit world to really speak about it. But the little bit that I do know is that that world seems like that they have it does seem to be more rigid because they are dependent on what I call public funding.
Yep.
And the public funds, from what I know, is listen, if you say you are helping, and I'm just going to be funny here, and please nobody get offended and call me and, say you're making fun of these people. So I'll make fun of myself. Short, black people, 5'1", who sometimes wear reading glasses and write with their left hand, then that's the people that you need to be helping. You know what I'm saying? And if the
That's,
public funds is giving you money to help that segment of the population because you wrote that down, then
that's
that's
right.
who you need to help. So you need to find those people, for that particular grant. So in those specific types of situation, there's not too much that you can do. And sometimes because there are regulations or stipulations, I should say, on when that money need to be
Allocated.
spent,
Yeah.
allocated. You're absolutely right. Um, but I also know that I would say working with a board that is has expertise in financial allocations, where you should be putting money, so that you can get the best outcome, as it relates to looking at forecasting in the future. Does that make sense? Also,
100%.
also fundraising. Who do you have fundraising for you, right?
It's abysmal for most of them, at least.
For most of them, for most of them, it is terrible, right? But you need people who can fundraise, to get on the phone asking for people, corporate partnerships, right? Bring that money in, and a board who can allocate those funds for long range planning.
Yep.
And I think honestly, that's how all of us need to be thinking about how we are running our business. And although we're talking about a nonprofit, but it really boils down to operational and how we are using the funding so that we can stay intact, not just now, but in the future.
100%. You had touched on the importance of a board, and I remember joining a training with this company called Live Bright Consulting, where they talked about the importance of whether you are an entrepreneur or whether you are someone in a corporation, you should have a board of at least 5 people, a board of 5 people that can help you help the trajectory of your path, whether it's, for your business or just for personal, right? And so talked about having, people on your board, like almost like an advisory board, who you can meet with on a regular basis. You can gain their insights, and let's be honest, this is free, right? So these are
Hmm.
people that are willing to invest, maybe 15 minutes a
Hmm.
month
The
or 15,
time.
yeah, time, right? Some kind of time throughout a quarter or a month or whatever. But they can actually give you direction, they can share their experiences, and they can actually share or collaborate with other people on that board to where you're not solely being a lone ranger in what you're doing, right? Can you help some of the listeners understand the importance of if they choose, well, regardless of corporate or entrepreneurship, can you help them understand the importance of having a support system, ecosystem, or even just a board?
Hmm. Let's use this board interchangeably and say if you are in a corporate situation, we'll say board sponsors, right?
Okay.
And your
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
sponsors, right, are there to help you grow, to help you with your blind spots. Let's just acknowledge all of us have blind spots. All of
Yeah.
us have things about ourselves that we don't know, that we can't see, that we're not privy to. And there are people that can serve on your board of one in this case, that can share information with you. There are people on your board that have information that they can bring back to you that you may not know. There's people on your boards that have contacts that they can bring to you, that are in rooms, that are sitting on in tables or at tables that you are not sitting at. And depending on the relationships that you have with those sponsors, you can get access to that information. And that's key. And the same thing can happen in your business as an entrepreneurship. Everything that we do in this life is relationship oriented. I was reading a post on one of the social medias, and somebody had said something about being political. And one of the comments was, I hate politics. Okay, well, you know what? Go to Mars. Because everything, and whether people like
Now,
it or not, no, whether people like it or not, everything is political.
because
Um,
Elon will get there, by the way. So,
hey, I hope he's the first one to go, but that's just my opinion. And on another note, he was like, no, 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 I'm not gonna go. I was like, figures. But anyway, everything is political. If you think
yeah,
about it, even in your childhood, who's the firstborn? Who's the baby? Who's in the middle? You know what I'm saying? Who got
yep,
so and so's attention? It's all, everything is political. It's all about how you choose to use your political capital, right?
mm,
How you choose to navigate those relationships. So don't hate politics, right?
yep,
Understand it and decide how you're going to use it and play that political game. And who are you going to be as you do it? Because we
100%.
all are, in an essence, I want to say playing a game. I don't want to say that. Um, but we
Well,
all
I
have a
mean,
role to play, right? And
yeah,
right?
it's a game of life
It's a
at the
game
end
of
of the
life.
day.
Thank you for that. It's the game of life, period.
Yeah.
Right. And it's all about how you choose to show up. And whatever you do, you can choose to do it either in your integrity or you can do it out of integrity. Period.
That's right. And what's interesting about life, this is, and again, my perspective is we don't all have the same goal. And
Right.
sometimes a person gets to choose what their goal will be, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
There are some people, high integrity is important. There are
Right.
others where profit is important. There are
Right.
others to where family is important.
Right.
Remember, a mentor told me, he said, everyone is wealthy.
Hmm.
It just depends on how they define wealth.
It's so true.
Is it time? Is it family? Is it money? Is it quote unquote freedom? Is it travel? Is it experiences? Right?
Hmm.
'Cause I can enjoy experiences through food.
Hmm.
Someone else may enjoy experiences through travel. Right?
Hmm.
And so they're quote unquote rich in those experiences. So Beverly, I have this question for you. I was looking at two articles. One article is from a organization. It's a HR company called Nectar HR, and it says that a third of employees feel invisible. So a third of corporate employees feel invisible. They feel undervalued and unheard.
Wow.
Do you agree with this? And do you think that it's a reflection of poor leadership within corporate?
Wow. You know what? This is really what I talk about, and these are a lot of the clients that I serve, to be honest with you. And yeah, I do agree with it. And yeah, I do think it's a reflection of leadership. Um, and I also think the onus is on us too, you know.
Okay. Okay.
I want to say too that we've all heard of the squeaky wheel, right?
Oh yeah.
That
It's a
person
will.
who, hey, look at me, I'm over here. Um, I also want to say on disclosure, I tend to work with women. And the reason I work with women is I find that it's difficult for us to kind of show up and speak up and speak out for so many reasons, right? And for us to find our voices. You know, how do we do that in a way that doesn't feel aggressive or assertive? And especially me, I'll say, well, as a person of color, we've heard all the stories, right? You too. In that meeting, you were too aggressive, and I
It's just being
actually,
assertive, right?
you know what I tell people? Oh no, no, I'm passionate about that. Oh,
I like that. I like that.
yes,
Yeah.
yes,
You,
I'm
you
passionate.
misinterpreted my passion
You
for
misinterpreted my for aggression.
whatever
No,
aggression. Yeah,
no.
yeah,
I am
that's good.
passionate about that subject or about that topic. You know what I'm saying? And it's true, you know. And what people miss is the cultural dynamics, you know. I remember going to Rome. I'm gonna go digress for a little bit. And I was looking for a cab. And I said, where's the cab? The cab is over there. And I loved it. I loved that expression just over. Imagine if the person was in
What
the
is going
room with
on?
us. Yeah, yeah. But yeah, what you're hearing is passion. You know what I'm saying? It's excitement. It is yeah, I want you to get this. And so as someone who can speak up and speak out and know my voice, I was always sharing about my passion, but that doesn't come easy for a lot of
Mm,
people. And a lot of people mistake introversion, right? Oh,
mm,
I'm shy. I don't like to talk. I don't like to talk. Well, listen, all of these things are learned behaviors.
mm,
Um, I do report being extroverted, but that don't mean that I can go to a party and speak to everyone. It just means I like being in the energy. I get the energy of people and I enjoy that. But I don't necessarily like small talking with a lot of people, right? Public speaking, that's a
I know that for a fact, everybody. I know that for a fact.
uh-huh.
Beverly, how's it going? I'm like, okay.
It takes me a while. It takes me a while to warm up. It just does. It does. And people think because I'm extroverted, I'm gonna be like the, no, it takes me a minute. It really does. But once I get warmed up, okay, yes, I'm here and I'm loving this energy. And so for my introverted folks, your energy is depleted. And at the same time, you can learn to public speak. You can learn to go to a party and network and share. You can learn to be in a meeting and process information and then share that information. There are ways that you can publish information, put out a email so that you can raise your visibility factor.
Mm,
You know what I'm saying? So there are ways that you can do that so that you can be seen,
mm,
so people know that you're here. So,
mm.
yeah, we don't have to be invisible and we shouldn't be invisible. And I do think people want us to shrink, but no. Why?
That's right.
Why? Yeah.
Good. What would this other article is by Forbes and it's titled that leadership development is broken. And it says that most leadership development programs feel successful. They feel successful, but employees say they're not actually creating better leaders. So in other
Mm-hmm.
words, Bob works at AT&T, so that's an example. He works at AT&T. Um, they're doing some type of leadership development track, right? He
Mm-hmm.
feels better because he's a part of this track, but when it's all said and done, he's not fully equipped to actually be a true leader, right? And so the Forbes article is saying that leadership development is broken. Do you agree,
Mm-hmm.
disagree? What are your thoughts there?
I'll be honest. I don't know what it is. I will say that it's not a one size fits all. It's not a cookie cutter approach. And I can't assume that what would work for Beverly is the same thing that works for Leland. I was sharing this. We haven't figured out, and I just said this last week at a workshop. In our country, we haven't figured out. So we promote people because they did their job very good,
Hmm.
technical. Let's say that this person was good at processing. So they created something on the computer. It was the best processing thing, whatever. They was able to quantify it and get 100 widgets going or whatever. So we promote them, right? So
Yeah.
now we take that person, we move them to management. Well, that person, they're sitting there, choo 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 choo. Okay, so now we want that person to manage 50 people. When really their skill sets is good at managing computers
Widgets.
and widgets and blah blah blah. John, your or whatever their name is, John, your team is complaining or fussing or falling apart or blah blah blah. Well, John don't know because he's still in his
It's a widget world, okay?
widget world, and he don't want to deal with the conflict that so and so is having over here because they don't want to deal with that because they don't have the skill sets to deal with that. So we don't leverage people's strengths. We have 100,000 assessments
Hmm.
that that measures what people are good at, right? Where your strengths lie. So instead of using those tools that are already on the market and say, hey, you know what? Lisa has been doing very well. And it says here, and a lot of people don't like assessments. I'll say that too. I'll acknowledge that because they feel like it puts them in a box, and I understand that. So it says here, Lisa would be she's very good at managing folks, handling conflicts, yada, yada, yada. Let's promote her in this position. And then John, who's good at widget building, and we create a level playing field and and make room at the table for folks, you know what I'm saying, and let them be good at what they're good at. I if I had to guess, I would say that's probably what was missing. Instead of creating a box for someone who is a circle and putting them in that in that box, I think that's what we were doing. Does that,
Yeah,
you know
that's
what I'm
good.
saying?
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
great. That's great.
yeah,
Look,
yeah.
and these are great great tactics that you're talking about. Do you mind sharing with some of us, for the people that are listening, just let them know how you help your clients, how you work with them, what you see the struggles are, and then also how people can actually connect with you too.
I would say one thing about coaching that I absolutely love. Coaching is really listening to people.
Mm,
It is letting them share what's happening in their world and facilitating with them um, ideas, things that is going to help them level up, right? And then also putting on the consulting hat and then sharing with them things from my toolbox that I think will help get them to where they want to go. And then in the training development world, it is pulling out, is listening to what's going on, and then pulling out, and then customizing something that will work inside their organization. I will say this, one of the things that I found when working in organizations, and I'm just going to be frank with you, is that, and I use this, and it's going to sound harsh, but it is what it is. Or leaders, or the leaders will have let's say, a person that is toxic, right? And they don't necessarily want to deal with the issue. Really, I'm going to agree with that article now that I'm harkening back. Really, people want to put band-aids on gunshot wounds. They do. And they want everyone to, that was so good. We needed that. And then they go back to work and
wait a
that
minute.
toxic person is still there. You know what I'm saying? Nothing has been resolved, has
Yeah.
been fixed, nothing, but people felt good in that moment, you know? But nothing has really been resolved or fixed or yeah. And so I think that's what people feel. And it's not a one size fits all. And now that because people are afraid of lawsuits. We don't want to be sued. We don't want to push anybody. Everyone's so sensitive. And that's not to say that we should not be sensitive either. It's not to say that we can't, how do we do both? How do we take in the needs of the organization, right?
Yeah.
And be sensitive to the people inside that organization as
Mm,
well. Knowing that there's going to be differences. You know what I'm saying? And how do we be open to all of that? And these are complex conversations that we have to be able to have. Oh wow, I need that person to be billable, and they've been in a workshop for like 6 months here, and this ain't therapy. Too.
100%.
Yeah.
What all right, so closing remarks, how would you like people to get in contact with you? Is it via emails and Instagram? Is there
Yeah,
consultation you
no.
want to offer?
Yeah, thank you for that. So right now, people can go to my website and it's www.beverlybarr.com. They can reach me there, send me a email, um, inbox me, and I think that's the best place. Or on LinkedIn, I think it's Raise the Bar, something like that. Or put Beverly Bar, and I am in Indiana. You can find me there too.
Eh, all right.